now you don't see yourself as a mainstream Bollywood guy. When there's so much focus on this whole 100 crore club and this, commercial success and so forth, is that ever a temptation though to somehow maybe manage to crack it even with your own ideas or your own space? Or
yeah, of course. I mean, you want to break all barriers.
Yeah.
That's a given, But that's not the only barometer. Like, you are not going to go for that, come what may, sell your soul and just focus on that number.
Yeah.
You've got to get that on your terms, not on their terms, Everybody has their... You can't compromise everything. There has to be a certain integrity to a product. Like, I would really want my films to have a longer shelf life and be there, as someone wants... If they had to collect Indian films, my film should be one of them, is what I would aspire for. Of course, I want my movies to break all box office barriers, but that's not the ultimate and the only goal.
So, for you, I know you're working on this film, but what else would you like to see yourself doing, over the next few years? As always, there's lots of speculation that there'll be a Rock On 2, or that you're working with Ekta on something, or that there'll be other projects. So, what for you is on the agenda? Or are you focusing on this right now?
No, I'm at the moment just into my script right now. That's where my head is.
Take it a day at a time.
Yeah, but in the future, I'd like to produce some films, because I think I take too long between my movies. So I should get... I think there's so much more talent around.
Right.
I meet so many directors who are not attached to a studio or not somebody's assistants, and they're qualified, talented directors, but they're not getting their opportunity. And if in the future, if I could be of any help, or I could help make those movies, I would like to be part of that.
You've been in the industry now, in your own space for many years. What are the biggest changes you've seen over the last decade or so? And now as well, we're at a point where a lot of things are changing. What do you see as the most significant tipping point going forward?
I think in the past 10-15 years, the studios that have come in, they've really added value to the business.
Right.
They've given it a foundation. I think we are still a long way from how we should ideally be functioning, and what kind of films we should aspire to make. But things have definitely evolved, and we are in the best time so far. There was a time about 15 years ago when I was an actor, when there was only a single screens and mass movies, and then there was a small segment that did art films where nobody aspired to go. I mean, there was never any money in that, and you had no future. You couldn't make a life out of it.
Yeah.
Today times have changed. That same art space has grown up and is quite a giant today, and is standing face to face with your mass single screen movies that are made. I think those mass single screen films are great, but those same films that are doing 100 crores, 150 crores so easily should actually be hitting numbers like 300, 400 crores, because they are so heavily driven on marketing, and just the marketing and the timing is such that the hype itself is taking a big star, and the hype just drives those numbers to that level. The film is really not working on merit. So if that same star was in a really good film, and those two had to collide, we'd have a really massive explosion, and we would see those numbers of 400, 500 crores as well.
And you think the Indian audience, and talk about the mass audience,
like if you see a film like Three Idiots is the last blockbuster that you saw,
right?
Because it released in some 1,000+ screens, and it did a phenomenal number of some 220 or so, I don't know what the number is, but 200+ crores. And today, I mean, the films are releasing that are like more than 3,000 prints. So if you had to compare it, or if the same Three Idiots had to release in so many prints today, those numbers would be more than 400 crores of rupees. So I think that should be a benchmark. So we are still, just shooting way below what our target should be.
Potential is.
Yeah.
When you first hit that success, the first success for you, when it was Rock On, and it suddenly became this rage all over the country, just describe to me how that felt. Was it dizzying? Was it overwhelming? How was it? Was it euphoric?
It was actually quite calming, because I'm actually quite a charged person, and when you're struggling so much, you're already under the ground, and then to be in that state, you're actually struggling to breathe. So I've been in that state for many years before Rock On release. So when it does release, you just feel like sleeping for a bit, Feel like there's no noise in your head, and there's all your self-doubt and all your frustrations just get a release. And then there's a vacuum, and then you just want to sit down for some time and you don't know what to do, I guess. But it's you feel light.
Got it. Abhishek, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It was a real pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.